Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this video. And have I got a wonderful surprise to you? Sister Slansky returns, and she's going to be today discussing with us about what it's like after her mission. You'll remember her from my video first time out when she was with Sister Kay. If not, here's a little refresher. So what exactly is your role in helping Sister Kay on her awesome mission and adventure here in Chicago?
Basically transitioning into being a missionary in the field instead of just at the missionary training center. We go through and we practice all kinds of different situations, and we just, I don't know, it's like practice all the time, whether or not it's like just between the two of us or going out and meeting people and teaching people, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just there to play the lead role and help her to take the lead role.
But now, live from satellite, all the way from sunny California, here she is, Sister Slansky. Can you hear me, Sister Slansky? Are you out there?
I can hear you, David.
So tell me about your last few days before you left your mission and, you know, when you were heading back, because that's a time we don't really get to meet the missionaries because they're actually leaving. I'm interested in what process you go through.
Yeah, so there's the last few days before I came home were very, very stressful. I was trying to think of what it was going to be like going home, and for being out on a mission for 18 months, that becomes everything that you know, that's your reality, that's your normal, and you don't really know life outside of it anymore. Everything's pretty different. And so I was trying to figure out what that was going to be like, and coming home, I'm not a super emotional person, but like I don't cry at many things. But I teared up on the plane, and I teared up hugging my mom, like leaving Chicago and being able to see my mom again. I guess were like the two most important things to me. And the next couple days after that flew by and were a blur and super surreal.
So does the church in any way like help you? Do you get a prep talk from the mission president before you return, or anything like that? Do they, because as I say, you've been away for 18 months, and your life's different once you've done a mission. I'm taking it. I'm assuming it is. I've never done a mission myself, only because I didn't join till I was 48 years old. I should tell everybody, but do you get the point I mean? Is like, is the church helping you at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So before you go home, there's a transfer every 6 weeks where missionaries get switched up. I think we might have talked about that before. But in those last 6 weeks before you go home, they have this program that you do. And not all missionaries do it, but I would highly recommend it because it gives you more of that basic foundation, that knowledge that you need to jump back into, not necessarily the real world. I don't like using that term, but back into a life that isn't completely devoted to sharing the gospel.
So, do you actually talk to the mission president before you come back? Does he give you advice or anything like that?
Yeah, you do that as well. Just depending on when in those 6 weeks, it could be earlier or later, but you talk with him and ask him questions, and he helps you to make sure that you have a plan in mind, so you don't just, go home and then do nothing, that you're going home and you're looking for a job or you're going to school or something like that to keep you moving forward.
So did you fly directly home to I've forgotten the town you live in?
I would fly directly to the San Diego airport.
So what was it like seeing your family again after all this time? What was going through your head when you first, I'm talking about when you first come out of the airport terminal and you see them standing there? What goes through your head?
So, funny story about that one. I saw the way that the San Diego airport works is that there's a big glass wall on the second floor, and you go down the escalator to where everybody's can wait for you. And so I saw my mom. She had walked a little bit away from the group to see me first, to catch where I was and like say hi and wave and be all excited. But I had held back, like I was at the back of the plane, and then I went to the bathroom before I went to see my family, and so I was taking a little longer. And when I was walking out, she was on her phone checking to see if there was any news about like a delay or something wrong with the plane and where I might be. And I saw her and she didn't see me, and so I kept walking, and then I saw everybody else and they didn't see me yet either. And so I saw everybody, and then I stood behind an elevator next to the escalator, kind of taking a few deep breaths, like super freaked out before I actually went down the escalator to see my family. But I was so excited to see them again. And like I said, I teared up a lot when I was hugging my mom and my dad, and then I was able to hug all my brothers and everybody. So it was an amazing experience.
When you were here, I actually had the opportunity to talk to your mother a couple of times. We like connected up on Facebook, and you know, because I was showing her the video you were in. That's how me and your mother got to know each other. I don't go stalking missionaries' parents, so. But I'd done that video of you and I wanted to share it. So anyway, we got talking, and it was amazing to learn like how much she's following you, because like you were keeping a blog on there, but I understand, if I'm correct, you didn't type that up yourself. You sent that to your mother, and your mother would put your blog up for you. Is that correct?
That is correct. I can tell you straight up that my mom is my very best friend, and she would do anything for me, and I'd do anything for her. And so I would write up a letter weekly, send it to my mom, and she'd send it out to everybody. And not only that, she'd also post it on my blog for me with pictures. I think I haven't actually looked at it yet. 5 weeks after I've been home.
So what's the first thing you did when you got back, you've met your family? What's the first thing you wanted to do when you got back to sunny California?
This is going to sound like such a missionary, but I wanted to go and visit the San Diego temple. And so on the San Diego temple is actually on the way home from the airport for us. And so on the way home, we stopped by and took pictures at the San Diego temple. There were actually sister missionaries there, and they were very willing to take pictures for us. And they knew all the best spots to take pictures. So it was amazing.
So you went there, but you didn't actually go inside?
No, we didn't go inside. We went inside a little later.
I'm guessing all your family didn't turn up with their temple gear ready.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, not everybody there who was with me could go into the temple, and so we figured we'd keep it centered around everybody.
Yeah, it's very similar to my upcoming wedding. A lot of family and friends, including my future father-in-law, I won't be able to go into the temple for our wedding service. So that's kind of you know, strange to me, being a new member. Well, I'm not really a new member anymore, but being newish to the church. So you went to the temple, and so what then after you finished the temple?
We were thinking about going out for food, but something that I've learned from missionaries who have come home before me that I've talked with is that we don't have any appetite. At least the sisters that I've talked with have never had an appetite when they come home. And so we skipped the food and we just went straight back to my house, and I was able to just spend time with my friends and family and just talk with them and catch up and
You spent the time with your dog. I know what you. It was with your dog.
My dog.
Can you is your dog with you now?
He is with me right now.
Can we see your
Absolutely.
furry friend?
Here, Wesley, come here. Come here. Come on. Oh.
See, I've got an ulterior motive for asking you to bring Wesley. Apart from he's so adorable and I want to adopt him, but you seem to miss your dog more than anything when you were there. And I'm curious, did he recognise you when you came home?
He did. He gets very overwhelmed in big crowds, stressful situations, and so I have a picture of the two of us. Wesley was given to me so I could hold him and hug him, and he was smiling so big at the camera, but I still don't think he really realized it was me until a couple minutes later when we were walking over to the baggage claim and someone else was holding him. And I looked over and he was shaking and just staring straight at me, like dead staring me. And I walked over to him and I was like, "Oh, you recognize me now? Like you realize like I'm back." So it was super cute.
Awesome. So, what was it like when you first started trying to settle into normal life? Because it's not just the mission, but the church very much has big emphasis on youth, and you're a centre of attention right up to you go to your mission. But it seems to be that when you finish your mission, you come home and you're just one of the crowd now. Am I right in that assumption?
I'll put Wesley down. There's yes and no, because I think that the prophet makes a big deal about the youth of the church and how important they are in sharing the gospel. But he also makes a big deal about the young adults, like the people going to college as well. He makes a big deal about us being part of this great work to share the gospel with everybody, because we're at those stages in our lives where we're making tons of different connections and we're able to influence other people's lives for the better. And so I feel like transitioning home has been difficult, but I guess difficult but doable. It's been a struggle, but I think I've been able to adjust fairly well. I do miss the mission field so much, and it was hard for me to let go of that, but it's also been such a great thing to be able to be with my family and call up my mom when something stressful happens, or be able to ask my brother for help for like homework or whatnot. But I feel like there's that transition period, but I feel like the church doesn't drop you off necessarily as much as some people might think, or I feel like some people might feel that way, but it's really not. I know that the prophet loves us so much and that he's trying to reach out to each one of us and encourage us to continue being missionaries.
Absolutely. So if you could return to your mission, if they said to you, oh, people can do second missions now, would you do it again?
Sisters can do second missions. Fun fact.
Can.
Yes. Yeah. That's a difficult question because I know that my mission was everything that it was supposed to be for me. And so would I serve a second mission? If Heavenly Father told me that was the thing to do, then I would do it. But I think that he had one in mind for me, and I didn't even have one mission in mind for myself. So I think that if he had another mission for me in mind, then you do what Heavenly Father asks.
So what are your plans now you're back? Well, I mean long-term plans, not just the short-term plans. I mean long-term.
Tomorrow I'm planning on eating chocolate.
Well, that's a given.
My long-term plans are getting a bachelor's degree in some sort of either English or some sort of creative field. I love interior design, so I'd love to go into that. So long-term, that's really what I want to do, and move back to California at some point because I'm going to school in Utah.
Utah, which college school are you going to?
Brigham Young University in Provo.
And wasn't it you who told me that it's really hard to get into Brigham Young University?
It is. It took me about 3 times.
But when you told me that, I was thinking, I'm sorry, this girl is way too intelligent and to be turned down from Brigham Young University. And I didn't understand it. So when you were saying you was going to Brigham Young, because if you were going to tell me you're going to Utah State, I know a lot of people have turned this video off now.
No, that's where my brother's going. One of them.
Oh, so you're going to be mortal enemies with your brother now?
Yeah, so we have a rebel in the family. But it's okay. We love him anyways.
You love him anyway.
So what, he's not a member of the church, you mean, when you say a rebel?
No, he's just a rebel because he doesn't go to BYU.
I just thought that was going to open an interesting questioning if you had members of your family that weren't active members. So.
No, but
See,
we're all pretty active.
Slansky's all good.
Yeah, we're set.
Not that I'm saying people who aren't in the church are bad. Please don't make the nasty comments down below. Thank you. And Sarah wasn't implying that to you. Do you know, it's really weird calling you Sarah because you know, as I'll explain to people watching, we're not supposed to call missionaries by their first names, their sister or elder, so it'd be Sister Slansky or Elder Slansky. Obviously, you know which is which. But this is the first time in my life I've called Sarah Sarah, and it just sounds really, really odd.
You could just stick to Slansky.
Look at Slansky. It doesn't matter, because what will happen is I may one day meet you with your parents then. To call you Slansky in front of your parents just sounds so rude. So what do you think you personally have gained most from your mission?
That is a deep question. What
You
have
get
I?
the answer.
It's going to sound simple. The answer is going to sound simple, but probably faith. Faith has my first mission president focused a lot on exceedingly great faith, and that really stuck out to me. And I began to look for that as I studied the scriptures. And the more I learned about it, the more I felt like I didn't know about it, which is so typical of learning about anything. But I was so inspired by the faith that is shown by those the stories that we read in the scriptures, and my faith in Jesus Christ and in the gospel of Jesus Christ, that process that helps us return back to him, was extremely strengthened. And I just have seen it work in people's lives. And so I think faith in and trusting in God is probably the greatest thing that I gained from my mission.
Yeah.
The gospel.
Yeah, it's always something that I've wondered about, because, you know, you spend this 18 months, eat, breathe, sleep the gospel. You know, you don't do anything outside the church, outside of church duties. You don't have access to TV, you don't have access to books, you don't have access to anything that is not church gospel related. Now, I consider myself a pretty devout person. You know, I'm in church 2 or 3 times a week. You know, I make these videos, which I spend quite a lot of time on, and you know, I read my Book of Mormon, and I spend my family home evenings. We're currently studying the Saints, the history, with my fiancée Laura. But I get a break from it, you know. It's like, before we had this interview, while I was setting stuff up, I was sitting there watching an episode of The Big Bang Theory. It's you know, we get to escape. And I find, I'd always think that if I had to have eat, sleep, breathe everything, that would challenge my faith when I got back. But you're saying it deepened your faith.
Yeah, that's an interesting comment to make, because it is different. And so when I came home, I had to obviously be different. I wasn't going to be spending all of my time sharing the gospel and studying for 2 hours a day and doing all these things. But you have to, that's part of what the 6 weeks before you leave, that program that missionaries work on in preparation to going home, that helps to prepare them and make things realistic. And it talks about how you're not going to have as much time to study. You're not going to have as much time to do all these things that you have been doing, that you love, you want time to do. And when you're about to leave, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to study for an hour a day. I'm going to do all these things that I've been doing in the mission field because it's normal here. And that's what I want to be able to do back home. But that's not always realistic. And so it helps you set realistic goals and make plans so that you can actually transition home and know what you're going to do and have a sort of schedule set, at least partially, to help you have a norm in transition.
So, having served your year and a half, and you've been back now, what, 3 months? 2 or 3 months, isn't it?
I've been back 5 weeks. Yesterday, 2 days ago. 5 weeks and 2 days.
Oh wow, you're still a new RM.
Yeah.
For those watching, that means returning missionary. You'll often hear people referring to RMs. So anyway, what piece of advice would you give someone who's about to start going out on their mission for the first time?
The piece of advice that I would give someone going out on their mission would be to develop a relationship with Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ, and to really focus on that through fervent prayer, and to be searching for God's voice and begin to cut out all the other voices that surround us. As a missionary, the rules and everything do that for you, and so you can really focus on listening to and acting on God's voice, the Spirit of God that you hear. But beginning that process now and searching the scriptures daily is really the best thing to do.
And there's the one question that's the most important from my last video. Have you started reading The Lord of the Rings yet?
I haven't. I feel bad for saying that. You know, when I first got back...
Let's read The Hobbit first, was my recommendation.
Okay, I'll read The Hobbit first. When I first got back, we visited the Deseret Bookstore, which is a store where you can get many things for, like, related to the Church of Jesus Christ. And so there I bought a book about the Book of Mormon, but it's like a novel written about the stories in the Book of Mormon. And so I figured that would be an easy transition, or a better transition for me to go back into reading. So I've been reading that book.
See, you throw back at me, you're reading a book about the church to get out of my irritation. You have not read the things. Did you hear any of the Harry Potter audios I gave you yet?
I haven't yet.
Have you lost?
I haven't. No, I have not lost them. They're at my desk. I've just been super busy.
You enjoy
But
it.
I think about it all the time. Be like, oh, I need to listen to those. I need to listen to those. So I will be.
So before we wrap up, is there anything that you feel you'd like to add that you know may want to share with missionaries or members that you've met?
Probably one thing. Many people told me that when a missionary comes home, it's good to keep them busy, and I've definitely found that to be true. As soon as I came home, we were just constantly doing things. There was one thing planned after the next, and keeping me busy not only made time go by faster, but it helped me keep my mind off the fact that I was no longer in the mission field. And so I think keeping busy as a return missionary, those first couple of weeks coming back home is really important so that you don't lose steam.
Now, do you want to give a shout out to anyone back in Illinois, or any groups of people, the old wards, or?
Oh man, I love all of them so much. So there's like so many names. Back in Joliet specifically, Liz, I love Liz, and Sister Benny, I love Sister Benny too, and David Parker Ross, but he's not in Joliet anymore. Oh, and Jimmy as well. I love Jimmy.
Well, thank you, Sister Slansky, or Sarah as I now know you. Unfortunately, I can't give you illegal hugs, which won't be illegal this time. You're not allowed to hug missionaries. I used to hug Sarah all the time, for people wondering what I'm talking about. She was an absolutely amazing influence on many people in the Chicago area. She's one of the best that I've worked with as a ward missionary. I've worked with many missionaries in our area, and I have to say, Sister Slansky was one of the best, and I'm going to make her blush now. So anyway, thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you so much, David. It was awesome speaking to you.
Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. So if you've got any comments you want to make, if you're a former missionary, or you have questions you want to ask that you'd like me to put to Sarah about her mission, please feel free to make comments below. And let me also know what else you'd like to see. Would you like to see some more of Sarah? Maybe I can persuade her to come back and do some more talks with us. Until next time, I hope you're going to like and subscribe, and please share these videos with your friends who might be interested in this, and I will see you next time.